Hey there, Mitch Wilder here. And in this video, I'm going to show you basically how to use a tool to see what other people are doing on Twitter. And to use as an example, I have one of my favorite people on Twitter, Justin Welsh. Um, just some of the best content out there on Twitter. But when you get started on Twitter, we're kind of asking things like, we're like, okay, we want to grow our business on Twitter. Like, what do we do? Like, how do we know that we're doing the right thing? So, like, initially, it's starting with the basics, like, what should my profile picture be? What should my, banner be? What should my description be? Should I use my real name or not use my real name? All these questions are going on in the beginning, but as you start taking action and moving forward, some of the questions that you're asking is like, how frequently should I be posting? Oops, what tools should I be using? Um, with Twitter. Um, what should my post be about? Right. Um, all these questions start to come up, and what we tend to do is those people that we followed initially, we tend to look at them and say like, well, if these are the right people, like what are they doing, right? And a lot of people, like, you can't just reach out and ask, hey, what are you doing on Twitter? How frequently do you post? I mean, you can try it. I did it a couple times. It worked very infrequently, but I did get some information. But you've got to go through that research of like, what are they doing? What is working? And if you have a similar market, then the odds are that if it's working for them, it would also work for you. So, last thing before we get into this, before I show you, how to figure out what somebody is doing on Twitter, is just a plug for Twitter. Is like, it is one of the top organic platforms. Like, it is the easiest to get the most reach on. You can get hundreds of thousands or millions of impressions, even with a small following, without paying for ads. That's really key to understand about, like, you may be thinking like, Twitter, like, why talking about Twitter as a powerful marketing platform? But some of the top creators on the internet are starting with Twitter. Like, Twitter is a very, very central hub of their business, right? So if you're not on Twitter, if you're not using Twitter for your business, you definitely need to be doing it. It is a great way to reach a lot of people. Okay. So anyway, Justin Welsh, one of my favorite people on Twitter, just some of the best content that's out there. And so if I want to figure out, like, what is Justin doing? Like, how is he doing what he's doing? I want to go to his profile, and I want to get this tool right here. You can go to, I'll put a link in the description, but this is the tool that you want to get. It's called Black Magic, and I'm on the professional edition, very affordable. I forgot how much it is. Very affordable though, really easy to use. Um, so great tool. But when I'm on his profile here, I can see all sorts of things, right? I can see past times that we've interacted. I haven't been on Twitter for a few weeks just because I've been taking a few weeks off to work on the business. Private notes on him, best recent tweets, etc. What I really want to do is I want to see, what is he doing. So what I do is I click on this view public stats. And from these public stats, I can start to discern what his strategy is. So let's break these down one by one. So for starters, we see these activities, right? So in the last 26 days, Justin Welsh has 29 tweets, 28 threads, 753 replies. Anytime you see something like that that's like way out of balance, it demands attention. And so 753 replies. He's replying by far more than anything else that he's doing. Okay. And then 5 retweets, 20 self retweets, and other activities on Twitter. So a couple things that we can discern from this. This is really, really powerful. Okay. When you start on your journey with Twitter, you are in the early stages going to have a lot of ghostwriters reaching out to you and trying to sell you on engagement groups and retweets. This is not a strategy. Like, I can tell from looking at these numbers that this is not a strategy that Justin is using. So when I first started in business, one of the first lessons, one of the most important lessons, was asking the question, who do you listen to? Okay. Well, if I want to get results like Justin, I want to listen to Justin, right? And so I can look at what he's doing here, and this is what I discern from this. So he has 29 tweets. Okay. 29 tweets. So basically a tweet per day. Okay. Sometimes a little bit more. He has in the past 28 days, he has 28 threads. So basically a thread per day. So his posts consist of 50% tweets and 50% threads. And he seems to be doing one short tweet per day and one thread per day. So that's what I can discern. But I can also discern that most of his activity and his reach and his engagement are coming from replies. Now, no doubt he is, and I know this about Justin because I've experienced it. He is, if you get on his tweets early, he will reply to your comments on his tweets and his threads. But I also know that part of his workflow is to reply to other people's tweets that have a similar follower count and similar markets, and to use, I think we talked about it in a few videos ago, I'll put a link in the description, use that piggyback method. So that's where, not necessarily Justin himself, but we see that validated, that piggyback method is working. And that's one of the things that Justin is using to grow his reach and his followers here on Twitter. And he's doing that more than anything else. So he replies to people more than he tweets or does threads. Now, let me just do the math on this real quick. You can laugh at me for doing the math on this, but if we take 753 replies divided by 28 days, because that's the time frame that it gave us, he replies. Remember, he does a short tweet once a day and a thread once a day, so about 2 tweets per day. We see that he's not doing too many self retweets, another thing that a lot of people will encourage you to do, but he is replying 26 replies on average per day. No doubt some to his followers and people who are commenting on his posts, but also on other accounts. He's using that piggyback strategy. And then we see those self retweets. From this, it looks like he's only retweeting things that like get a certain amount of reach or a certain amount of engagement, and then retweeting other people's things like, as a service, right? He's not doing that. He only has 5 retweets. So that's really interesting. We learn a lot about his posting strategy and his routine and what he's posting, or how frequently he's posting and how much, from this chart here. Now, if we move on to tweeting from, hit the drop down. 76% of Justin's tweets are from organic sources. The rest of the tweets are automated, scheduled, or posted via other platforms. And I believe he uses Hype Fury or Black Magic, and it looks like maybe some of these shorter tweets are from organic sources, like from his phone, to make sure that he stays in his routine. So the majority of those tweets, again, looks like he may be posting from organic sources. So we see that he is using tools. Remember, one of the questions I said we would ask is like, what tools do we use? Well, we can see here that he's probably using something like Hype Fury or Black Magic. Move on to the next one here. Okay. So I'm betting here, actually, when I look at these numbers, just to go back a little bit, I'm betting that he's commenting and replying, because those are going to be categorized as tweets. I'm betting that the majority of the tweets and threads are from the automated scheduled sources, and the majority of the replies is what I'm guessing are from, he's on his phone or on his laptop replying, right? So that's what that tells us. How many engagements he's had in the last 28 days. We see what days he is engaged on. I'm going to come back and show you a cool trick here that you can do to see like what was he tweeting that got so much engagement. And I put together a video on how to make templates from this and how to use this. And then we can also see his tweet frequency. Now, I don't think that this is very accurate because it's only going back the last 26 days. But what we can see is like he's pretty much tweeted every day, right? I believe he has tweeted every day. I don't give too much attention to this. I will look at his timeline to see, we had a hypothesis of how frequently is he posting and when is he posting, or what is he posting. We see that again, a tweet and a thread, pretty much a tweet and a thread every day, like one tweet, one thread. And then some of these, it looks like if a certain one got engagement, that it gets automatically retweeted if it had a certain amount of engagement. Then moving on, activities by hour. This can help us to see when he's the most active. So it looks like most of his posts go around 8 a.m. because we see a big spike, or maybe just at the tail end of 7, right? So like 7:55 or 8 o'clock, because the majority of his activity is there in the morning. So what this tells me is he's probably posting that thread first as his first activity. And that's getting a lot of engagement, and there's a lot of commenting and replying that he's doing at that time. And then the engagement kind of tapers off, right? He's not engaging with his followers as much after that. He may put out another post, which it looks like maybe he does that at around 11, or maybe sometime 11, 12, 1, 2, around 2, right? But after that, his activity trails off. So he's posting his first post here around 8, and then he's engaging at that time, and then he's kind of, he has one other post and he's trailing off. So that tells us when he's posting and when he's engaging, so we can learn what he's doing there. And then his average number of activities per day and what his best day is, which it looks like here his best day is Wednesday, right? So we learn a lot about him. We can learn other things like, who he's engaging with, right? These are probably some of those people that he's commenting on their posts when they post. And then we can see, this is one of my favorite, is what is he talking about, right? Like in his tweets, what are the topics of his tweets, right? So more than anything else, he tweets about business, right? That's the number one thing that he tweets about. Second, most mentioned thing in his tweets are people. Then he's talking about time, no doubt time management or how he uses his time. Build, right? He's talking about building businesses. Day is used frequently. Not sure why that one is. We could go and look at the tweets. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. He's talking about content marketing, one-person businesses or solopreneurship, work, and he's got this emoji is used more than anything else, right? So we can see what his tweets are about. We're going to come back to this in just a minute. And then you can see, to me, this is just kind of fun. My account obviously is much smaller, just getting started. He's been at this for a couple of years. We have, for me, 11, basically 12% of my followers are also following Justin, right? So we have 226 mutual followers, which tells me that when I do my piggyback strategy and when I reply, I get a lot of followers from his followers, right? And of course, because his account is so much larger than mine, only a small percentage of mutual followers. It's much smaller percentage for him. So this is interesting. Like what this can tell us here is this audience overlap is like when I engage with these accounts, which of them are bringing me the most followers? Well, this is actually a pretty high amount, right? And so I intend to double down on my piggyback strategy on Justin's posts. So some valuable insights there, right? I can also use this information if I'm using Twitter ads. I can use this information to tell me, what, I'm getting followers, the most followers from these people. I can use them, that information for audience targeting, right? So that's pretty valuable. So a lot that we can learn from this app. I'm going to show you two things really quick that's really cool to do. One is if we're trying to find our voice, we're trying to get our message down and we know that it's similar, but not in competition, like Justin and I would not consider us competitors, but people who are interested in him, I feel would be interested in me. So I want to write about similar things, but in my twist, in my own way. We swipe and deploy, but we never like just steal their information, right? So I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to talk about the tweeted keywords, which is great. And I'm also going to talk about the engagements received by date. Okay, so there's two things that we can learn from this just really quick, and I'll do separate videos on each of these things. So this, let's see, 3,400, so that's 32, and this is 30. So this was his top day right here. So I want to be like, man, what did he post on that day that got so much engagement? Because those were really great tweets apparently. So I can click on this link, clicked on that day, and I can see what his tweets were for that day, right? So one is he had this tweet that was talking about his daily routine. I believe this was a thread, right? So I can see what he was talking about. I could do a version for myself of mine, right? Or I could look at this and say, hey, I want to make a template out of how he did this, right? This is something that worked. I could templatize this post. I have a video about that. I'll put the link in the description. The other thing is I can look at this. Here he's just trying to get people to move over and follow him also on Instagram, right? So that one did okay, but obviously when we look at the views and the bookmarks and the likes, this was the tweet that pushed him over the limit. This is the one that got all the engagement, right? So that's pretty interesting. So let's go back to his profile. Let me show you one other thing that we can do with this. So that's finding top tweets by the ones that got the most engagement to either do your own version or to create a template from those tweets. The other way that we can do this is by topic, right? So if I want to see what Justin is posting about, and I want to see what he's saying about business, I can go over here, and this is going to filter his tweets where he talks about business. And I can look at which of these tweets got the most reach and the most engagement and then were the most compelling. And again, I can write my viewpoint on that or my own version of it, and or I can templatize his version of what is working. And you can see that he has a lot of tweets where he's talking about business. So I have a lot to choose from. And when I'm choosing from them, I want to see which one's got the best combination of reach, likes, retweets, and comments, right? So I want to see a good balance between all of these things to know, hey, this did really well. If I also talk about this, it's going to be appealing to that market as well, right? So there's basically how you can find out what people are doing using Black Magic, and some ways that you can practically apply that to figure out what people are doing on Twitter. We just used Justin as an example. If you're not following Justin, you should be. He's got some amazing insights into business. We could do this with anybody that you want to look at and learn from on Twitter and see how you can grow your account doing similar things. So check that out. I'll put some links below for resources. And of course, let me know if you have any questions on this. Happy to jump in the comments and answer those. And if you haven't done so and you like this video and you want to see more videos like this about marketing on Twitter or YouTube or LinkedIn or ads or just building a business in general, this is my notes account where I basically just share what I'm doing each day and what's working, and so you can do that, and how for me I can do more of it. Or I share something I tried that didn't work, right? And do less of that, right? So if you like that kind of thing and stuff that's raw and that's unedited and, that's not scripted, and you just want to see information about what's working, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you join me. Put comments below and then check out the links in the description. And I'll have more videos like this in the future.